Good morning everyone. The topic for today is retention and relapse. I'll be covering the topic under the following headings: introduction, need for retention, theorems, various keys for retention, and various retainers which can help to have the retention. Usually relapse is something जो पेशेंट्स के लिए बहुत ही बुरी चीज़ होती है एंड वी एज ऑर्थोडोंटिस्ट्स वुड नेवर वांट दैट द treatment relapses back, so we need to take care of some things which can help prevent the relapse. So the term retention is derived from the word retain, which means to hold, that means to hold back or to hold secure. Relapse means to slip or fall back to a former condition, especially after improvement or seeming improvement. So retention has been defined by Moyers as maintaining newly moved teeth in position long enough to aid in their stabilization so that the correction is maintained. So various destabilizing factors are the periodontal ligament traction, the muscle imbalance, continued growth, unstable occlusion, and erupting third molars. So the first point is periodontal ligament traction. So stretched periodontal and gingival fibers will contract and lead to relapse. Supraalveolar gingival fibers take 40 weeks to rearrange. So retention has to be continued for at least 7 to 8 months after treatment. The suggested protocol is that at least the removable retainer should be worn for 1 year full time and 6 months night time. Muscular forces. Now muscle imbalance at the end of orthodontic therapy can result in reappearance of malocclusion. So muscle imbalances need to be corrected before we finish the treatment. Role of third molars. Pressure of erupting third molar is thought to cause lower anterior crowding, which can lead to relapse. Next, coming to occlusion. A good intercuspation is a must for stability of treated cases. CR should coincide with CO. So CR-CO shift should not be more than 1.5 millimeters to maintain the stability. Nail biting or lip biting habits can also lead to relapse, so these need to be corrected before finishing the treatment. Changes produced by growth. Now relapse may occur due to the continuation of abnormal growth pattern. Prolonged retention is required until active growth is complete. So the cause of malocclusion should be determined at the time of diagnosis. Schools of retention. Various schools of retention are occlusal school of retention, apical base school, mandibular incisor school, and musculature school. So the occlusal school is the occlusion of teeth is most potent factor in determining their stability in a new position. This concept was given by Norman Kingsley in 1880. According to him, if the teeth are in good occlusion, it would not relapse back. The another one is the apical base school. This was given by Alex, Macaulay and Nance in 1925. According to them, apical base was one of the most important factor in correction of malocclusion and maintenance of a correct occlusion. Intercanine and intermolar width should not be changed, and arth length cannot be changed permanently. Next is mandibular incisor school. This was given by Greaves and Tweed. So according to Tweed, it is always suggested that the lower incisor should be at an angle of 90 degree to the basal bone. So if the mandibular incisors are upright, it will not lead to relapse. Next is the musculature school. So according to Rogers, care must be exercised to establish a proper occlusion within the bounds of normal muscle balance with careful regard to the apical bases and their relationship to one another. Richard Riedel in 1960 gave 9 different theorems which will affect the retention. He classified retention according to the various requirements and types of cases. So according to him, 9 theorems were given, and last theorem, that is the 10th theorem of retention, was given by Moyers. So the first theorem is teeth that have been moved tend to return to their former position. Second is elimination of the cause of malocclusion will prevent recurrence. So habits, tongue posture, mouth breathing, all these things should be considered in treating the malocclusion. Malocclusion should be overcorrected as a safety factor. So always overcorrection is a must. For class 2 cases, we should finish in edge to edge bite. In class 3 cases, we should create more overjet. Open bite should be corrected into a deep bite, and deep bite should be kept into an edge to edge bite. Expansion should be overcorrected, and rotations should be also overcorrected, or surgical interventions like supracrestal fibrotomy can also be done. Proper occlusion is a potent factor in holding the teeth in their corrected position. This was theorem number 4, and this helps in maintaining the health of the periodontium. Theorem number 5, bone and adjacent tissues must be allowed sufficient time to reorganize around the newly positioned teeth. Theorem number 6, if the lower incisors are placed upright over the basal bone, they are more likely to remain in good alignment. Theorem number 7, corrections carried out during periods of growth are less likely to relapse, so early treatment is suggestive. Importance of diagnosis and treatment planning here plays a role, and interception is very much important, so compensations will not happen. The further the teeth have been moved, the less is the likelihood of relapse. This is theorem number 8. Theorem number 9 suggests that arch form, particularly the mandibular arch, cannot be permanently altered by appliance therapy, so that should be maintained. Intercanine and intermolar width should be maintained in the cases. And last one, which was given by Moyers, is many treated malocclusions require permanent retaining devices. So these theorems are 10 theorems which will help you to determine the stability. I have created a mnemonic so we can just remember the important words, that is movement causes overcorrection, proper occlusion, and bone, lower incisors, growth. Further the teeth that have been moved, the less is the likelihood of relapse, arch form, and permanent retention. So we can remember it in these 10 words. Next, Rayleigh-Williams gave 6 treatment keys to fix the retention. So key 1 is incisal edge of lower incisors should be placed 1 millimeter or on the anterior-posterior line, that is the point A to Pogonion line. Angulation is not relevant. Next, key 2 is that the lower incisor apices should be spread distally to the crown. The apices of lateral incisors should be spread more than that of the central incisors. The apex of the lower cuspid should be positioned distal to the crown. Key 4 is all 4 lower incisor apices must be in the same labiolingual plane, so there is no slippage of contact. Key 5 is lower cuspid root apex must be positioned slightly buccal to the crown apex. Key 6 is lower incisor should be slenderized as needed after the treatment, so proximal stripping is advised, so that the point contacts will be converted into surface contacts, so lower incisor contact slippage would be the least, and this happens mostly in the lower incisor region. So kind of retention, depending on different cases, either we need no retention, that is in an anterior crossbite case or a serial extraction case. Limited or short term retention is needed in most of the treated cases, and prolonged retention is needed for midline diastema, severe rotation, arch expansion without good occlusion, class 2 div 2 deep bite cases, and expansion in cleft palate cases. So coming to retainers, retainer is an appliance which is used to hold the teeth in the position after orthodontic treatment. So Hawley's retainer is the most common kind of retainer which is given at the end of the treatment, consists of a labial bow and 2 Adams clasps. Sometimes the kind of bow is different. It can be a short labial bow, long labial bow, fitted labial bow, or it can be a short labial bow soldered onto the clasp of the Adams clasp. Next is the Begg's wraparound retainer, which is a single wire which traverses from the anterior region to the last erupted tooth, and it does not lead to any opening of the space between the teeth. So this is another kind of retainer. The next is the clip-on or spring retainer. This is the only active kind of retainer which is given in terms of orthodontics, because all other retainers need to be passive. In this, if there is a little bit of lower incisor crowding or lower incisors contact slippage, the lower incisors can be proximally stripped and a spring can be created on the labial and the lingual surface to align the teeth. Kessling tooth positioner, with the present scenario in which the aligners are a rage, Kessling tooth positioner or different kinds of aligners can also be given to retain the malocclusion, that is the perfect occlusion which is created at the end of the treatment. This is again another example of invisible retainer. Fixed retainers need to be given at the back surface of the teeth. There are different kinds of wires which are available. Most commonly the multi-stranded flexible wire is used, stainless steel, so that we can retain the teeth into this position. And last one is the banded canine to canine retainer. This can be sometimes given in pedodontic cases or adult cases as well, depending on the choice, but since the band is visible, this is not the first choice of appliance which is given.